I had no work for the next 6 months and nothing in a 3-month pipeline. So that's kind of how it was. It was easy at first. I got lulled into, this is awesome, I don't have to market, which I swear, if I had $1 of every entrepreneur who jumped and said that, I almost think the universe has to make it soft enough to land. And then the oh crap moment comes where it's like, oh no, I really do have to do that sales and marketing and put my packages together and that stuff. So it was fine at first, and then it was nothing, and it was a big uh-oh moment for me.
Welcome, Sarah. I am so thrilled to congratulate you on graduating from Swagger School. I would love to share a little bit about your story with folks. So if you could share who you serve, how you serve them, that would be wonderful.
Sure. So I'm Sarah. I am principal and founder of Bettman Consulting Group. And for the sake of the work we did for Swagger School, I left my corporate job where I had built a DEI effort to start my own consultancy to work with companies that are small to medium, early stage. So we want to do something but don't know how to start, and really helping them to get started on, frankly, their culture journey towards an inclusive culture. So not necessarily directly DEI. And so in doing so, I had tested some concepts in corporate America, previous consulting, but I really didn't feel like I had my stride when it came to marketing and having the conversation, pricing, all the things that we talked in the Swagger School. So that's how I came to be with you.
Describe for us a little bit about what your world was like as it related to landing corporate contracts before Swagger School. So describe a little bit of what was going on in your world.
Yeah, and this is going to sound strange because it's not going to sound like a bad thing, but I'll explain why it's a bad thing. So I got a lot of clients through the relationships I had, right? They knew me. I'd been working with them either when I was sitting in Constellation or in other ways. So I had no problem getting my first clients. The oh crap moment came when I realized I didn't know how to get more clients and starting to see the pipeline. I had work and it was great, but starting to realize I didn't have a pipeline, one, but two, the lead time for corporate work is so long that I was able to respond to what was right in front of my face. And then what happened is I ended up in a situation where I had no work for the next 6 months and nothing in a 3-month pipeline. So that's kind of how it was. It was easy at first. I got lulled into, this is awesome, I don't have to market, which I swear, if I had $1 of every entrepreneur who jumped and said that, I almost think the universe has to make it soft enough to land. And then the oh crap moment comes where it's like, oh no, I really do have to do that sales and marketing and put my packages together and that stuff. So it was fine at first, and then it was nothing, and it was a big uh-oh moment for me.
Absolutely. You're describing so much of what is common for entrepreneurs who transition from the corporate world into serving corporate clients as an entrepreneur, right? It's great in the beginning, right, with those, referrals and word of mouth, but how do we replicate that success, right? So such a common conundrum for folks who are in similar shoes. So can you share a little bit about why you chose Swagger School? So what was it that made you choose Swagger School for your B2B sales journey?
Well, you, first of all, first and foremost, and specifically about you, you explained things that make sense. So to me, and so what I mean by that is you can read the books and it's like, I don't understand. And I like to think I'm a smart person, but my blind spot, like I joke, starting a business is serious adulting. And I don't know if I have the qualifications as adult to do this. And so it's a whole, I don't know what I don't know. And I've worked with other practitioners and it's like, I don't get what you're saying. It makes no sense to me. And you can always say, oh, they're not meeting me where I am, or it's too conceptual. I live in conceptual, so there's no such thing. But first, hearing you talk about what you offer in Swagger School is like, okay, that makes sense. Some of it was a leap of faith that I also needed to get some structure around packaging and around how I'm intentionally selling. And I'll talk about what I got out of Swagger School, but why that was important. But how do I replicate this for me? But then also with some of my goals, how do I teach others to do this on behalf of the business? So those were the kind of the two reasons. I resonate with what you said, and I could hear you and hear what you were saying. And the second is it was right in line with that uh-oh moment of I got to figure this stuff out. So you met me right at the perfect time.
So true. So many folks feel like they have to translate, right? Their own business, the offer, the benefits into the language of corporate when they're moving into that. So how do we sort of even speak about services in a way that makes it easy for folks to get excited about the mission and excited about the way we can potentially serve them? So beautiful to hear that you clued into that right away. So now you joined the program. Describe a little bit for folks what that experience was like in the cohort, in the experience in the program.
Well, I'm going to be transparent. I jumped in, and I've done this in a couple places and I learned a lot, but I jumped in, and you know this. I don't think I could make the first call. I was traveling. I didn't carve out time to get the most of the program. So I want to be transparent. Like, as people join, make the time to do this because it's valuable. That said, I got a ton out of it because when I did the activities, or even when after our calls, I chewed on it. And so even now, months later, I still can attribute things that we talked about many months ago that are reframing how I'm thinking today. So the first thing I got is it validated what I already knew. So I think one of the things that I got in trouble with is I was the buyer in corporation of DEI consultants and learning and development, org development in my roles, in many of my roles. And I'd also had been the consultant, and I really thought I knew what I needed to know, and I was fine. Obviously, I had that oh moment, but what I started to realize is I didn't know how the tactics around it. So first, what I got was validation. I actually have a lot of information, had a lot around Swagger School, what is taught. So that was comfortable. Like, okay, what I've inherently done is successful and it's good. What I got though is packaging around it and then how to organize it, a bit more confidence to bring myself forward in a way that I wasn't doing. One specific way is I'm a white woman in DEI space, and that's something I've kind of hid behind. Same way as when I was a firefighter, I always hide behind, well, I was a woman. Well, everyone can see I'm a woman. Everyone can see I'm a white woman in DEI space. And be able to talk without, I was afraid of competing or seeing me arrogant or privileged. Yes, I'm all those things, right? And owning it to be able to say, I have 20 years experience in this space. I have the results to show it, and being confident to tell my part of the story, not at the expense of anyone else's story. So that was really powerful. And I'm still working through that one right now. The other thing that it gave me is where there were some gaps that for me were some fundamental gaps in my foundation. Really about identifying my target group, getting really clear about how I get into businesses. So a lot of times it's the woman who was tasked with help us be better by the male leadership team. It's like, I don't know how to do this. That introduces me to the male leadership team. So that changed what kind of rooms I got into, also shifted how I package things for different groups. So even though I got the validation that a lot of what I was doing was right, there were some gaps that I think were fundamental flaws that would have kept me from being successful. So I think the other thing to share, because we are talking some months after I was in one of your earlier cohorts, is that has helped me get better and better and better. It's just potentiated. This is our conversation. So what I improved felt really big then, but as I keep thinking about it, I'm much clearer about who I am, what I offer, how I negotiate. I negotiated my first $250,000 gig for a year. Yeah, and realized that I can't lead with $250,000, right? I lead now with executive retreats, and it's like we're dating, right? Let's try it. Let's see what we think. So instead of feeling like I had to make the tons of money, I'm now trusting the process that the little things add up to the big things, but throughout the process, I also get to choose my clients. So another instance, and I haven't told you about this one, I just landed another close to $80,000 gig in a project that's public facing, like people will read the news about the work I'm doing. I'm very excited about, not I'm doing, but what the company's doing. And so I can speak it to the industry I'm in such a way that people will know, oh, you were part of that? That's cool. But it was a slow roll. And instead of trying to do the 250,000 gigs, it's like how to trust my process and my sales goal. And so I think that's the biggest thing. And you and I haven't talked since about the impact of the program now 3 months. I don't even know, this year has been wild, but months later, it's still growing, it's still impacting and still helping me to drive my business.
Oh, I love to hear that, Sarah, so much,
Cool.
because you shared how owning your value, owning the power of your story, right? Stepping out from behind, right? And getting in front of that and really leveraging that to land bigger deals, right? Faster. How incredible that is to think about the impact, right? On you and your business.
Yeah, and I want to add something else that was really important. I knew this, but I didn't quite know it to the level. I see all of us going out with great ideas about how we run our business. So we put our model, we put our idea, we put our approach in front of our clients instead of putting our clients first, and then use our toolkit model or approach to be of service and allowing ourselves to choose clients. So one of the things I was going to say earlier, I have a client, they decided to not move forward with me after 2 years of working together. They've blown up. Like, I've taken their logo off my website because where they've gone is not something I want to be connected with, as far as I think business wise, they're making some changes. But one of those leaders came up and asked me to work, and he always discounted my rate. And I was at first warned by the fact that, oh, he's calling. And then I thought, no. So I discounted my rate for this one thing, but then came back and say, no, we can't afford that. What are you going to charge for this one, virtual versus in person? And I went to the floor, but it's not discount. And he may not like it, he may like it, and I actually don't care, because the clients I love see the value I bring to them and they are willing to pay me for my hours. And that I'm much more confident in as well.
Sarah, I love to hear it. Because so many people feel like it's that pick me energy, say yes, right, to any opportunity, but really it's taking that pause to say, does this client align with my values, right? Is this an environment where I can bring my full self to the table, right, and be able to thrive in that environment? You shared so many nuggets and so many insights and wisdom from your journey. What's one word of encouragement you might leave to someone else who's considering landing more corporate clients or considering joining Swagger School? If you could share one word of wisdom with them today, that would be phenomenal.
Do you know me? I can't do one word. Um, I'm going to steal two. It's a compromise for the 20, but keep going. Keep going and be of service to your clients. I have one more piece I'm going to add because I don't have the one word. I see a lot of us trying to design something that isn't ours. And I remember seeing on a group I'm part of, someone saying, well, how did you decide what you do? Well, I decide I'm doing what I've done for 20 years. I'm doing what I will do for the rest of my life. It's inherently who I am. I've had practices. And I think what you did is you helped us get out of the noise of trying to create a product, make our millions quickly or do whatever, but really authentically see ourselves and see what service we can provide, and not be in twisting ourselves to try to be something we're not, because people won't pay for that. But when you're grounded, yeah, my core belief is inclusive culture. Either you want it or not, I don't care. If you don't want it, I'm not your consultant. We're going to hate each other. But if you do, I got you. That confidence is everything. So it's keep going, but keep going from an authentic self and doing what you already do and bringing your superpowers out in the world. It's not going to be the flash in the pan idea that you wake up with in the shower. Some people make millions off that, but rarely they do. So that was my public safety announcement.
Thank you, Sarah. There's something you said that stuck with me from our time together. I remember you saying, I love that I can hit my revenue goals with a handful of clients, right? And I think so often when we move into entrepreneurship and we think about it, we set those milestones, those goalposts. And I just remember you celebrating 170K month with us, right? Like, just incredible wins along the journey. But to hear that you've continued the momentum, you're continuing to grow and scale your business by leveraging the full power of your story. It's just been phenomenal to witness your journey. So I thank you for raising your hand and joining Swagger School, and specifically our Steal the Corporate Deal program. I cannot wait to see where your journey leads you. And I'm going to be continuing to cheer you on. So thank you so much for your time today.
Of course. Well, I'm so grateful for you and your team, because I wouldn't be here without you.